who's watching this. Today it is 2 p.m. on Tuesday, the 17th of December, and we're still in pretty major thaw that's been happening over the last couple of days. It's been positive degrees on all the summits, raining and extremely windy, so very unpleasant conditions. It's still above freezing on the summits, but that should hopefully change by the end of the week. It's not a drastic change, it's not anything to get too excited about, but it is notable to the extent that you could maybe get a route or two done over the next week or so. The Slice blogs are fully operational now. It's worth having a good look. They're having good pictures. You can see in the Cairngorms one, you can see a decent picture of fluted buttress. The goat track as well is worth noting the lack of snow, and that would indicate the amount of snow in the gullies as well. And then they've got a really useful, not good, but useful picture of Corrie Loughlin and the amount of thawing that's gone on in there. The Lochaber one as well, they've got some useful pictures. So here is the low pressure that has been really annoying. Basically, it's bringing lots of warm, wet air, southwesterly winds barreling up to strip back the mountains, and that's moving through Wednesday and sitting just to the northeast of us through Thursday and Friday, which should bring a bit more of a northwesterly flow. And because it's got such a warm core, there's quite a lot of moisture in it as well. So we can hope that it will bring some snow back for Thursday and Friday. It will bring more humid but colder conditions compared to if it was just a low pressure sitting here, because it's got the warmer, wetter core. So you could expect some rime as well to be forming. The better day for that will be Friday, just as the rocks will take a bit longer to cool down, as very warm and wet at the moment. But it is worth noting with these kind of regimes, they're very, very difficult to predict, especially a couple of days away. And there is this other band coming through, which is just on the cusp of, is this going to be rain? Is this going to be snow? And that's coming through on Friday about lunchtime, Friday afternoon. So it's too difficult to predict this far out for Friday, but there is some signals that you could maybe get an early season route done on Thursday or Friday on the back end of this low pressure system moving through. It is worth noting as well that there's going to be very strong winds and quite a lot of precipitation, so it's going to be a very Scottish soggy fest no matter where you go. Into the weekend, we're just slightly sitting into the colder side of the jet stream, which is good, but it does mean it's going to be exceptionally windy as we're not too far to the north of it, and it's hopefully going to barrel across a bit of moisture to us as well. The west coast will get the forefront of that through Saturday, and then on Sunday the wind's going slightly more northwesterly, but this is only just for a moment as high pressure is taking back over by the end of Monday. What it's looking like at the moment in simple terms is slightly colder air on Thursday being moved quickly through by a front on Friday. The temperature of this front is a bit up in the air, and then the north side of the jet stream is going to cool us down with some precipitation over the weekend before warmer air returns, and then there's a big clash, which this all gets very difficult to predict by next week. So for the type of precipitation coming through on Thursday, here's the northwesterly wind. It's going to be mostly confined to the coasts. The further inland you go, the less precipitation you're going to get due to the orographic uplift taking the moisture out. But there's this band coming through that we mentioned earlier on Friday lunchtime. And this is picking up that it will mostly be falling as rain, snow to the highest summits. So it's going to be a very close one to watch of where the freezing level is on this band coming through on Friday. The freezing level itself, 6,400 on Thursday, so that's why we're just keeping our ears pricked for what could be happening on Thursday and when the front comes through on Friday. It's saying about 1,000, 1,200 as the front moves through with the moisture. So your highest crags could be surviving this slightly warmer front coming through before the temperatures drop again to the weekend. Hopefully all precipitation coming through on this band at the weekend should be falling as snow down to 400 meters. So next I'm going to look at the UKV snow depths, and we've got at the moment just little bits clinging on through the Cairngorms, and through Thursday we're in the colder air, but there's not huge amounts of precipitation falling, so you can see the bits of drips and draps appearing over the west coast as it comes in, and the front on Friday just moves through there, and it's stripping it back as it's falling as rain to most elevations, unfortunately. But after that moves through onto the Saturday, Sunday, it's looking like the colder air should hopefully bring a bit more significant snowfall. It's just picking up at the end of the charts there, 20 centimeters for Smeggy, 18 for the Cairngorms kind of numbers, and that's just because there's quite a lot of moisture in this low pressure system still. So there's always swings and roundabouts with these fronts when they move. So looking at the ECMWF, just to have another, here's the low warm moving through the backside of that, bringing the northwesterlies through Wednesday, Thursday into Friday. You can see the slight ridge starting to form of the moisture that will come through Friday. What time does this have it coming through? So this has it at 9 in the morning for the west coast, a little bit later for the east, but still around midday. So you could either get a really early route, go really high and be optimistic for Friday, or keep an eye on it. That's probably what I'd recommend. And then the jet is barreling the winds to a slightly more amiable direction for winter with this warm low with plenty of moisture. And this will mostly fall to the west coast and northwest. The further north and west you go, the better it could be. So I'd recommend keeping a close eye on this, going for an early season route, hopefully before this warmer air takes control. I wouldn't rule out things like Ben A. I'm not recommending it. It's just something to not rule out at this stage for Sunday or Monday. And you can see in the overall regimes here the two troughs of the colder air masses that we've got. The one from Wednesday lunchtime into Friday before the front comes through. And this has the temperature at about -1, -2 at 1,500. So fingers crossed that is enough. And then the second trough coming through slightly colder, slightly more sustained as well through Sunday, Monday. And then after that, it's all very up in the air. It's very difficult to predict this kind of stuff. The regime frequencies are all over the place. But overall, it's not the best ever, but it's still very early doors for the season. So everything that's happening now with the thaws and the large amounts of precipitation is all just going to go into making those nice ice and topnik conditions later in the season. So it's doing normal things. It's just a bit of waiting around, which is always the deal with Scotland. So in short, we've got the slow warm coming through Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a little drip of cold air coming. Keep an eye on that when you want to get out before this front comes through. Is this front going to be snow? Is it going to be rain? And what altitude? That's all up in the air, but it's looking like it's going to be close for the tallest cracks. And then into the weekend, some colder, very strong winds bringing snow before the warmer air takes control. And then we've got a battle between NAO positive, NAO negative, and a blocking over us for what's going to dominate for the rest of the month. But it's all a bit up in the air. But thank you very much for listening.